Creating an histogram on R using the package ggplot2 is relatively easy, as I'm going to show you. I'm going to do that in 2 different steps. First, I'm going to show you how to create a simple histogram, how to change the limits of x and y axis, and how to change the style of the histogram. Secondly, I'm going to show you how to introduce several histograms in only one chart, in one figure. But let's start by doing a simple histogram. Here I show you an example. For that purpose, you need to download 2 packages. The most important package is, of course, a ggplot2 that we used to use for creating simple charts on R. So ggplot2. And the second package, it's ggthemes, which is really useful for changing actually the way your chart might look. Okay, so 2 packages, ggplot2 and ggthemes. Here, the first line after the 2 packages is the directory for your file, the file you want to use. As you can see here, it's a CSV file. So as you can hear, I'm a French speaker, so basically I have a French software, and my Excel uses dots as comma and comma as dots, so I need to use the read CSV2. If you are an English speaker and you use an English version of Excel, you don't need to write CSV2 but only CSV. Okay, that's a little trick if you're a French speaker. Anyway, so the line is the directory to the package, and then for doing the histogram we have that longer line here, which is named P3, and we need to call the function qplot here. Okay, the directory to the variable you're interested in. Here in this example, the variable is the change in working time. So just to give you a few information about this variable, what we did is looking at the change in working time from one period to another. So the working time might increase, stay the same, or decrease over the period. Okay, so we have positive and negative values. It's not always the case when you do a histogram, but it's the case here, which is interesting because I show you then how it works. The geom here is the histogram. We want to do a chart looking like a histogram and not lines, not anything else. Okay, here it's the size as usual. Main is the title. We don't want any title right now. X lab, it's the label in X. So the label is change in working time. Y lab is the frequency. So frequency will be the label of the line Y. We want to fill it in blue. The coordinates, this is a really important part actually. It's for looking at the limits of y and x. So we can see that y here is the limits is between 0 and 200, and the limits of x is between minus 40 and plus 40. As I told you, the change in working time might be positive or negative. So here we select that it will be between minus 40 and plus 40. Of course, it's not randomly, we choose that based on the variable. Okay, so always have a look at your data for deciding which limits you want to choose. And then using the ggthemes package, we can choose a theme looking exactly like the one in The Economist, the famous newspaper. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes, and the color also like in The Economist. So let's copy past these actually 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in R. Okay, press enter. Nothing appears normal. We need to write P3 because P3 is the name of our chart right now. P3, I'm going to reduce a bit the size of that chart, and you see that what appears is exactly what we wrote in the code. So the X line, the title is change in working time. This is compared between minus 40 and plus 40, and the frequency here is the Y line, and it's between 0 and 200, and it looks exactly like The Economist. Although, because we use the package ggthemes, we can of course change the way it looks. So let's copy paste exactly the same line as we did before, but we want to choose that we don't like really The Economist. Actually, it's fair, and we can decide that we want something looking like a very expensive software, which is Stata. Okay, and we keep the same colors as in The Economist. It's a kind of good mix. Okay, let's write P3, and what appears basically, if I find a chart, is a chart exactly like that, which is a bit different and looking like a chart which is produced by the software Stata. Okay, you can of course making it bigger, smaller, change the limits here if you see that it doesn't work. Maybe you see here the number of people not changing their working time might be higher than 200. So we might choose, for example, to select a limit here of 300 for Y. Press enter, P3, and P3 is here, while it's actually more than 300. So you can keep playing like that until you have a chart looking exactly like what you want. So let's say 500, enter, P3, and well, actually it's fine now. It looks absolutely fine. Okay, so that's the idea. It's relatively simple. Now, well, you can decide to make something a bit more complicated, but in the end it's not so complicated. It's including several histograms in one figure, and for that it's really easy. Well, I think it's really easy, yeah, and really fast. If you understood what we did previously, you're going to understand how to do it right now. So you still need the same packages that we used before, so ggplot2 and ggthemes. But additionally to that, you need two other packages, grid and gridExtra. Okay, grid and gridExtra. The directory as usual, but rather than, as we did before, doing only one histogram, we're going to do here 3 different histograms called P1, P2, and P3. Okay, it's so the variables, I don't go into details, but you see that the limits of y and x vary from one chart to another. It's not the same in P1, P2, and P3. Titles are not the same. So it's actually 3 different figures, but we want to put these 3 figures in the same figure, in the same chart. And for that, we need to use, it's really easy. One, you did P1, P2, and P3, as we did previously for P1. You can include P1, P2, and P3 in the same figure. For that, you use packages grid and gridExtra. And then, the most important line of code will be grid.arrange the name of the 3 graphs you're interested in, and the number of columns, 3, because we want the 3 graphs as 3 columns. So let's copy past these few lines on, if I can, on R. It's going to be really fast, and you'll see it's going to be clearer when it's done. Okay. I make it a bit smaller, sorry about that. And you see that actually what you did is merging the 3 figures in one. So rather than having P2 separately, here you see that we have, I make it smaller, I'm sorry. We have P2, but we want P1, P2, and P3 in the same figure. So for that you use that function, gridArrange P1, P2, and P3. That appears here, okay? Well, if you decide finally that you only want 2 graphs, like only P1 and P3, and you don't want to have P2, you choose a number of column of 2, and here it is. So really easy to do. You can of course change the style for the 3 or the 2 figures, and you have something looking really nice. Okay, I hope this helps.